Cross toes too.
Every appendage. Cross every appendage.
Well, I mean, I would just
Son of a... What the
biscuit.
hell are we streaming to if we're not streaming to the freaking scheduled thingy-wingy?
Pornhub.
Oh, wait, we are... Wait, are we... Now it's saying we are streaming to it. Make up your mind!
Never.
Okay, yeah, we are live.
Yeah, we're definitely streaming.
Okay, cool. This was meant to happen.
Sure.
Exactly as you planned.
You believe that? I can sell you other things too.
Like a nice bridge in San Francisco.
Or some digital RAM. You can download it for free.
Indeed.
Tried that before.
Okay, so Captain Un-America, should we start with that?
Sure.
Okay, so Captain America in the comics is no longer Captain America because green here. What the hell I'm looking at? There. So Marvel reveals Steve Rogers no longer believes in the American dream in first issue of The United States of Captain America. So par for the course of contemporary Marvel writing, the premiere issue of the publisher's Star-Spangled Summer crossover, United States of Captain America has revealed that the original super soldier himself, Steve Rogers, no longer believes in the concept of the dream. Released on June 30th, the first issue of the Christopher Cantwell written and Dale Eaglesham illustrated miniseries opens literally the first page of the story with a solemn Rogers staring out of his Brooklyn apartment and looking back on his past career as the Star-Spangled Avenger. Beginning with the memory of the now iconic line, "I am loyal to nothing except the dream," uttered in admonishment of a warmongering U.S. military general during an investigation into the origins of the during a Daredevil run, the supervillain character known as actual panel on the screen. It's actually a really good issue. During the articles, but it's essentially like this warmongering U.S. general. It's like, oh no, we have to. Essentially, he wants to fight a war, and he wants actually using this nuke character to take care of crime. He's a psychopath and murdering people. Cap and Daredevil have to put him down. Not literally, but they do what heroes do, and then you have this line, I'm loyal to nothing, General, except the dream. After the general says, like, well, you're loyal to this country. Helped us. But essentially, what the general was doing was wrong, and Cap was right, and that was the whole point of that issue. Here, they actually have the panel from the new issues, and he's saying, like, I'm loyal to the dream, like nothing except the dream. He says, I actually said that once. Here's the thing about the dream isn't real, and goes on to say how when we wake up it goes away and we're left with this yearning inside, like something was taken from us. At least that's one kind of dream, and then goes on that there's two dreams and one is a lie.
Long story short, it's once again just the writers going, don't believe in America, just believe in, well, whatever we tell you.
Pretty much. I mean, the thing is here is they're talking about how the first American dream is the one that isn't real. It's the one some people expect to just be handed to them, and then they get angry when it disappears, when in truth it never really existed in the first place. And on to say, Germans have this neat word. First off, Cap using a German.
Yeah, that's
Fernweh, which means a longing or a nostalgia for a place you've never been, or a place that might not even exist at all. We have a word for this in the States, Americana. Wow. So now they're saying that Americana is the equivalent of nostalgia and a longing for something that never existed. Even Google would say otherwise, and Google's one of the really politically correct, untrustworthy corporations. this white picket fence fallacy. They literally said, like, that's literally a line here. It becomes nationalism, jingoism. That dream isn't real. It never was, because the dream that doesn't get along nicely with reality. Of their cultures, immigrants, the poor, the suffering, people easily come to be seen as different or un-American. Never seen. Okay. Continue anyways.
Honestly, the only time I've ever heard anything along those lines was pretty much back during World War II, especially where you had the internment of Japanese Americans.
Right, where you had like Sand Island and stuff like that.
Yeah, shit like that. But like anything modern day,
or really anything post World War II as well. I mean, yeah, there was a bit contempt for some European countries at the time, and obviously, definitely. But I think I would say 60s and on. I think that kind of died down enough where it wasn't a problem anymore. And anything really, 80s onward, I think really things really strived and improved. And I think we had.
Yeah.
I'd say the 90s and early 2000s especially were very, like, it was crazy how little racism and prejudice you'd see. Like, yeah, racism's always going to exist. Prejudice is always going to exist. But it depends, it exists in what context and in how there. Yeah, in what context and how often, like how frequently, how extreme. Whereas in the 90s and early 2000s, it wasn't that extreme and it wasn't that often.
And I would say it's that I would say most of, not all of course, but most of what racism we're seeing nowadays can be laid solely at the hands of the media and other affiliated industries such as the entertainment industry, but more so with the media. Always going and fanning flames, always saying everything is because of racism.
So they go on to continue, or the writers go on to continue saying, the white picket fence becomes a gate to keep others out. We're at our best when we keep no one out. Good dream is shared radically, shared with everyone. When something isn't shared, it can become the American lie. And this is literally word for word of the actual comic book panel, off the pages. The lie is a real problem because it comes in the form of an empty promise. A while back, we told the world they could come here for a better life, but too often we turn our backs on them. Instead of a dream, they get handed a raw deal. Then there's the second dream. This one's real, but we don't hold it or own it. Heck, we can't even touch it. Reach for it. We work, we toil, we struggle, we fight together. We may never reach it, but we never stop trying. That's my dream. Well, the Smithsonian is putting on a special exhibit called Americans Who Fight. To tell you the truth, I don't really love the name, only because sometimes we fight when I feel we could handle things another way. I have some really just obligatory war art in the background of the shot here. Like, it's not even depicting specific actions. I guess it's depicting, it's depicting what's-face, the 20-year war and you can clearly see some Taliban RPG, Taliban rocket launcher guy and some Blackhawks. So.
Yeah, or it might be like Black Hawk Down or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can see the art through the stream for yourself. It's just like very like silhouettes and some figures holding RPG, very much like depictions of the Taliban. Oh, then you have police. There's the riots. Right, the riots that a lot of the politically correct riots that happened over the last year.
You mean the mostly peaceful riots that only had a couple million in damages, a couple dozen dead? Was it hundreds of dead or just dozens? Either way.
Why is it?
But don't worry, those aren't the riots we need to focus on, though. Remember, it was on January 6th. Those are the only riots that matter.
And then he continues saying, in my mind, there were Americans who fought, sure, but also reached. They laid themselves bare. I don't even know what these images are supposed to represent here. All I know is that looks kind of like an SS uniform. I mean, like a motorcycle jacket version of an SS. Got a megaphone, a really old hat, a diner. They did it without serums or powers or metal suits. The museum wants to put my shield on display. They have an old replica, but they believe the real deal will mean more to people. But unlike those other folks, the ones who reach that he finds himself stripped for because they wanted. Which is interesting that I just saw a side note, they wanted his real shield in the museum. In 2006, after they killed Captain America during the whole Civil War thing, they put a fake shield on display because they knew every supervillain and his mother is going to try and steal the real shield on if it was on display like that.
Not to mention, you have people who would steal it just for being able to say, "I've got."
Bucky stole it.
Shield. You'd have
in the original
heroes trying to steal it in a misguided attempt to like claim some of Captain America's power.
Right, and in the original comic where Bucky becomes Cap after Cap dies, he actually sneaks into the Smithsonian to see how well guarded the shield on display is, and he goes, "No, it's fake because I can sneak in no problem here, and I have a metal arm."
Yeah.
You know, it's like, no, there's no problem. Like, that's how he figures it out, and he goes, "Okay, I have to go get the real shield," because he doesn't trust Tony Stark with it and all that. But like, he actually does take the shield and eventually becomes Captain America. But the point was that a lot of the plot revolved around getting Cap's shield, and how it wouldn't be just displayed in the museum where anyone and their mother can get at it.
Yeah, it's not. Well, because one thing too, especially with the shield, part of the idea behind it is that the shield and the struggle, I guess, against America itself and its ideals that it was founded on, that really hasn't ended, even just in the comics, let alone in the real world. And I think partially it's a good symbology that essentially the shield will stay in use until the mission is over. And honestly, that's probably never going to happen. That's why you're always going to have Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah. And anyway, it continues saying, "I'm pretty easy to repurpose for people's various agendas. I'm also an easy target when things..." That's kind of funny, considering how he does get repurposed a lot in the comics for people's agendas, and he's doing it right now. "I'm also an easy target when things in the country get bad and believe they can get bad. Like Captain America effigy. Sometimes it gets so far away from 1940 when I first got injected, 1941, that it all seems pretty ridiculous. Honestly, I started to wonder if I divide more than night. So often a shield can become something to hide behind. Lately, I'm hiding too." And then that's it. Log of new Captain America issue.
And I mean, now
These are the opening pages of the book,
I can
too.
see some amount of like doubts that Captain America would have, and honestly, that'd be understandable.
They've done that before, and good and well done too.
Yeah, well, one, because also too, that being said, anyone who does not have doubts is either foolhardy or a zealot. It's like everyone is going to have times where like, hey, is this really the best thing I can be doing? Am I going in the right direction? Should I, work for this job, study this, do that other thing, or would it be better to do something else? Everyone's going to have doubts. And especially given just what Captain has seen in the comics, like, holy shit. That's more than most people would ever be able to.
Yeah, I mean, look, one of the regular occurring Iron Man villains is an American company called AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics, which is a terrorist group that makes weapons. And you'd think, okay, that would shake Cap's confidence, right? Except that's the thing is part of Cap's character is that that his confidence, his belief in the American dream, in America, in the ideals that it was built on, and that it represents,
and not
essentially
just the ideals, but the people of America.
Fuel his heroic deeds.
Yeah,
I mean, I have countless issues where like team ups and stuff where like some villains, like not always his villains, but some of the villains of other characters, like will meet him and they'll respect him, just stand down and stuff like that, because like they're maybe lashing out against a specific hero or corporation or other fictional character or something.
Yeah.
But like they still like even some of the villains respect Captain America, where it's like, yeah, I still like you, dude. Like I have nothing against. It's just I'm just wanting to kill that guy. I don't care about you. Like I don't you. I'll stand out of your way.
Okay, fine, but
Yeah.
is this the right way to actually go about your issue with the person? That kind of stuff. Talk
And that's the
people
thing. It's like you see the villains kind of like get humanized in front of Cap because he has that living legend presence in the comics, at least in the old school comics, where like you'd see him. It's like, holy crap! It's Captain America. It's that guy that essentially helped save all of our lives and helped win the war effort in 1945. Like the dude was a hero to everyone.
Yeah, I guess for me it's like I could see why they would maybe they want to bring up this issue through a comic book, right? And maybe this seems like an issue. But it seems out of place to do it in a Captain America comic where the entire idea of Captain America is positive, like America positive sentiment, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is like even in some.
There's a place for it, right?
Yeah.
It's just like seems out of place to do it in a character where like the entire idea, well, it's Captain America, right? Like,
One of the great issues I think speaks to Captain America's strengths is in the 1990s they had this giant Avengers thing called Operation Galactic Storm, which was essentially the Avengers fighting the Kree in space, and they some of the Avengers decide that they're going to kill the Supreme Intelligence, which is like the Kree's leader, like living, almost omnipotent sentient intelligence, but no one really knows if it's organic or not. It turns out it's actually made of dead, or not. It's made of essentially dead Kree that in their brain kind of comprise its intelligence. That's why it's the Supreme Intelligence. And they, some of the Avengers kill it. Cap obviously isn't one of them because he's like, no, we shouldn't. That's not. This isn't our jurisdiction. This isn't. This isn't what we do. And people are kind of like. And he at times he's like, maybe I am outdated. Maybe I am. I'm clinging to outdated ideals. People are more leaning to like characters like Wolverine type stuff. Where everyone's like, you kill the enemy. But like at the end of the day, he still managed to prove people right. Like prove that he's right in that. No, at the end of the day, you don't treat the enemy like the enemy would treat you. You have to act better. It's kind of like that Batman where, Batman doesn't use guns because that's what the enemy does. Batman doesn't kill because that's what the enemy does. You don't... Sometimes you can't use your enemy's tactics. You have to stand on your own morals and your own tactics. Otherwise, how are you better?
No, that's a really good point. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of the writers and other entertainment industries, have kind of forgotten that aspect of, hey, we should strive to be better, not just to be like, well, hey, I don't like them, I'm going to use any possible, it's like they did XYZ whatever. Okay, fine. If you think they're bad, whether or not anyone else does, if you think they're bad, okay. At the same point, if you go and stoop down to their level, how are you any better? It's like all this stuff where it's like, oh hey, this group, not individuals currently, but this group was racist to my group in the past, or didn't like my group, or was a bigot to my group in the past. I'm going to be a bigot to that group now, and it's like, how does that make you any better than they are? And all you're doing at that point now is opening up for people in the future to go, well, your group was a bigot to my group, now I'm going to be a bigot to your group, and I'm justified by that same exact logic. It would never end.
And also the thing is, like, trying to be better is the whole point of comic books. The original idea of superheroes was, here's Superman and all these other characters. They can do fantastic feats that aren't realistic. Shoot lasers out of their eyes, flying, jumping buildings in a single bound, and all that, bulletproof. Yeah, you can't do that. It's not realistic. But at the same time, it wasn't supposed to be realistic. It was supposed to be that they're morally superior, and that this was essentially here's yeah, we're not there yet, but this was something that humanity could strive to be. Was essentially that superhero ideal of higher morality, and that effectively becoming bulletproof in your ideals and strengths of who you are and what you do. That was the whole point of comic books originally, was that it was something to strive to, and fiction as a whole, a lot of cases was something to strive for, something to improve yourself.
Yeah,
that's why all these superheroes have.
People forgotten that.
That's why a lot of original superheroes have all these super fantastic abilities, super strength, and bulletproof, and that, because it was something to strive. It was realistically, you may never, at least naturally, become bulletproof. Maybe thousands of years in the future with genetic modification or something. I don't know, but the point was it was something to strive for. It was, like that Superman, Captain America type ideal of they're not quitters. They're not going to stand down because they disagree. You disagree with them or they disagree with you. They're gonna, like, if you're hurting innocent people and you're on the wrong side of the law or something, they're not gonna just stand down because that's not what they do. It's just
it seems it would be more in the nature of Captain America to, if there was an issue, to
take a look at Civil War
to deal with the problem rather than just be like, listen.
Well, that's what happened with the original Civil War in the comics, where they had superhuman registration, right? Where they wanted to register any superhero. They were trying to register them so they would operate from the government, which means exposing your secret identity if you had one, and essentially becoming a government agent. And Cap was against this because it stepped all over, human, not just human rights, but constitutional rights and civil rights.
Yeah. It takes.
And he fought it tooth and nail, but while he fought it,
civil liberty,
right,
it shits all over it.
And while he fought it, he took extra care. When he was fighting people, literally like fisticuffs fighting people, to make sure not to really hurt them, because he knew at the end of the day we're fighting our own friends and people. And it's not like we're fighting supervillain or something or German soldiers. We're fighting whether it's just like some government goons or it's another superhero. He was still making sure to pull his punches and make sure they were all right, because that the whole thing is this was a huge misunderstanding that kind of got way out of hand, and he kept trying to hammer that fact home.
But that was back in the days where
it was almost 20 years ago now.
Well, it was back when you still had when most people, and I think most people still do believe in this, but you have a lot of the people in the entertainment and media industries that don't like the idea of, hey, we need to all look past our differences and see what makes us the same, and that at the end of the day we're all human beings, and in the case we're all Americans for Captain America and stuff, to the point that, hey, we need to go and cooperate here. We need to put our differences aside and be able to say, hey, let's all work together toward a better, more peaceful future. And I think a lot of the people in media and entertainment, they don't like that message anymore.
No, because it goes against their narrative that they push, and I have this image here.
It goes against that, and on top of which too, it goes against the need for, especially in the media, you need a perpetual emergency, because what else are you going to report about? There were 3 raccoons in a trash bin? Oh boy. They constantly need sensationalism.
I've been saying this for a few years, and I feel like big media keeps making up issues in order to have something to talk about when there's no issue there.
Look at how big of a thing race has become, and like I said, I put about 80-90% of that blame of how it seems like racism is around every single corner everywhere you go now. I put 80 to 90% of that blame solely at the feet of the media.
And you'd be probably right for it. And I have an image here of Cap meeting a Red Guardian, because there's been many Red Guardians. Red Guardian is essentially the Soviet Union's version of Captain America. And it's kind of fun, and I have it because I feel like this Captain America, that's in the comics nowadays is kind of Red Guardian, the hero of the Soviet people.
That's at least what the writers seem
I
to want
mean,
to go
like,
towards.
I feel like they're confusing. Remember, the red one is the commie, not the blue one. And on a related topic, so Dean Cain was interviewed about this issue, about this Captain America thing, on Fox something, Fox News, Fox and Kid. I don't know, but here's the video we'll watch.
Captain America getting political and anything but patriotic in the latest Marvel comic series released right before Independence Day.
Well, the issue claims, quote, the first American dream is the one that isn't real. It's one some people expect to just be handed to them, when the truth is it never really existed in the first place. Other cultures, immigrants, we're at our best when we keep no one out. A good dream is shared radically, shared with everyone. When something isn't shared, it can become the American lie.
All right, well, you confused? So what does Superman have to say about that? Dean Cain played that role and took great pride in it.
For anyone who doesn't know, Dean Cain played Superman in the Lois and Clark New Adventures of Superman TV 90s, which was pretty good. I mean, it's like a romantic sitcom Superman thing, but he played a really good Superman. I'd love to see him as Superman again in something where he does some more Superman stuff, but like he got the character of Superman and Clark Kent really nailed down.
Dean, does this really bother you more than most, you would think?
Brian, I am Captain America. I love Captain America. I love the concept of Captain America, but I am so tired of all of this wokeness and anti-Americanism. We just celebrated our 245th birthday. In my opinion, America is the greatest country in history. It's not perfect. We are constantly striving for a more perfect union, as we all know, but I believe she's the most fair, equitable country ever, with more opportunity than anyone's ever seen. And that's why people are clamoring to get here from all over the globe. I agree with Senator Tom Cotton, who was on a couple days ago, who said that perhaps Captain needs to be demoted to lieutenant, because I think that makes good sense. We're here, America.
Because he's lost.
Has its founding principles, which I firmly believe in. I believe in individual freedom. I believe in equality of opportunity, not outcome. Competition, the ability to compete fairly. Hard work, which brings you success and brings you material wealth, which in turn gives you self-reliance. That's what everybody wants on the face of this planet. That's what everybody strives for. That's why they're trying to come here. And I find, this wokeness, it's pervasive. It goes through everything. It's in our school system. The cool thing to do today is bash America. The comic books do it. The schools indoctrinate our kids. They do that. Our movies, our television shows is full of it. Celebrities, actors, athletes, the media, they love to bash America. I don't get it. I wonder to myself often, do these people ever travel outside of America? Do they go to other countries where they have to deal with governments who aren't anywhere near as fair as the United States? I don't think they do. I do it all the time, and I kiss the soil when I get back here.
You're exactly right. I think even more of a demotion. Private first class America, whatever you want to call them. But you're right. If anybody would have traveled the globe, it's Superman and Captain America. And you remember the comic book for Superman when he disavowed his American citizenship and said he was now, his allegiance was to the UN. I mean, this is everywhere. And if Captain America can't love America, then who can? And what can be done about it? Because the countercultural view now is to be patriotic. Everyone in your line of work, it's a boring take to hate the country, because that's what they're all doing.
Well, exactly. That's the whole point. Today, the cool, the fashionable thing to do is to bash America and to hate America. And I am on the exact opposite side of the fence. I love this country. I'm a full, complete optimist as well. I believe the pendulum will swing back to openly appreciating American values, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. As soon as people start studying them in school again, I think we'll get people understanding them and appreciating them. So today, me being sort of a counterculture guy, me supporting the flag and the red, white, and blue in the United States of America makes me a revolutionary in some terms,
Yes.
which I'm fine with.
Dean, thanks for coming on with us.
We're back to that
Thanks,
being
Ainsley.
a revolutionary
Thank
You guys look good in pink, too.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean.
I don't.
See,
That's why I'm not.
Brian,
There's a new way.
So there you have it. Dean Cain's pretty much exactly on the same page as we are. I'm just completely sick of all the anti-America stuff in comic books, movies, TV, actresses, celebrities. And he's spot on with their indoctrinating. They're doing it in the education system now. And they're introducing like books for kids now that tell you that it's evil to be white. Because
I can't
of course,
speak on any of that.
what was that?
Not American. I said I can't speak on any of that because I'm obviously not American.
Right. Well, that's because we get to blame you for everything because you're so. Right, Cav? Blame Canada.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. Something goes wrong, blame Canada. Doesn't matter if they're at fault. Okay.
Yeah, we didn't say it's well. We're giving you the blame, but we're not necessarily saying it's your fault.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just take
Okay.
the punishment. That's all.
Exactly.
It's bad enough that you're being punished enough with the COVID restrictions there. How bad is it, by the way?
No, we actually got pretty lifted.
They lifted it?
Yeah, we don't. We don't have to wear masks or anything now.
Oh, good, because they might
For
reinstate
now.
that here.
Well, at least where I am, I can't speak.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's literally a Superman actor saying who thankfully still believes in the American dream, and he brings up a good point. Like, do any of these people actually exit the United States for anything, and go to other countries and see what it's like there? Because I don't think they do.
Well, I mean, I do think a lot of people, especially in entertainment and media, have never actually been outside of America. Like, they really don't know what other countries are like, what America's like in comparison. It's kind of sad.
Yeah. And, you know, the problem, like, literally, Captain America and Superman are both the most American superheroes ever, and that's
Like, they're
a
supposed
good
to be
thing.
America personified.
Yeah, because the whole point is there, and Superman's not even, he's technically an immigrant.
Yeah.
And that's the
Technically,
whole point. The
he's an
whole point of that is, you know, like, yeah, he was an immigrant, but he's still American. You know, like, it doesn't matter where you come from. America isn't, you know, you don't have to be born in America to be an American.
Well, like if you look at most other countries, you know, I've said this before. Most other countries have a ethnicity attached to the cultural identity. You know, it's like to be French, it's not enough to just move there, learn the language, get citizenship. You're still not French because with the very idea, the identity of it, there's an ethnicity to it, and so you're always an outsider. You know, you move to
In order to speak, you need to
Japan.
speak French in order to be part of the French. To be considered French, definitely, that's one of the things.
Well, that especially. But it's like even still, you would still be strictly speaking an outsider. You know, you move to China, Japan, you learn the language, you get citizenship there. You know, you live there for years, decades, but you're still an outsider. Whereas you come to America,
Snake
heck, you
Eyes.
don't even need to speak the language. Guess what? You're fucking American now.
Yeah,
You
as
know,
long as
you get your citizenship. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Here's
it's really
your
just a
50
verbal
cal,
test, and
there's the bald
that's it.
eagle.
Yeah, and also like Snake Eyes. You know, the origin of the G.I. Joe character Snake Eyes. He's a white guy that was part of you know, who obviously went to Japan, became part of this clan. He's always like the whole reason why like why his character's so interesting. He's always the outsider. He's always considered, you know, an outsider because of him being the white guy in Japan, learning, you know, kung fu and all this stuff. Not really that's usually not the case, right? And yeah, as exactly as you said, he was always considered the outsider. That never left him. Whereas, you know, Superman, yeah, he's really call Superman an outsider. I mean, yeah, he's the last of his race and all that from another planet. But at the same time, he made a new home. He didn't even know he was an alien until he was a teenager or an adult, depending on continuities. So
Yeah, he was raised in America.
He was raised as an American. He thought he was American, or at the very least human with powers. Because depending on some continuities, he gets his powers like as a baby, whereas some he gets them over time. Yeah. So, and then we have this a follow-up article to the Dean Cain's comments. So apparently, some Heather Antos person, I don't know who this is, responded to the interview with Dean Cain, who played Superman, saying that he knows Superman wasn't an American, right? Which, as we just said, he is an American. He's literally the embodiment of the American dream. An immigrant coming to America, becoming an American, becoming a successful American, I'd say.
Yeah.
He's... And then continues saying, to all the reply guys commenting that Supes was an immigrant, therefore American in that regard, totally agree. Dean Cain doesn't agree. That makes you an American, though. So by his standards, Supes isn't an American. So I don't know when he said that, considering how we just watched the video, and he was saying the opposite. How everyone's clamoring to get here because America's so great compared to other countries, and also he's of, I think, Japanese descent. I don't know off the top of my head. I just know that like his he comes from immigrants. Like, so I would think if he was saying, first off, he didn't say that. Second, if he did, it wouldn't be truthful.
Details.
It's just interesting. And then you have this that's really it there. Like, this article is a bunch of, honestly, I think this is kind of a fluff piece just because it's really it. Like, that's all. Like, he didn't say that. This person's just trying to clamor for attention. But it just, Captain America not being for America is so out of character and just absurd. Like, he's freaking Captain America.
Yeah.
America.
Fuck yeah.
No, I just put our American logo on the screen for people to see. I had the Canadian one too.
It's all good.
Is Canada even real, though?
I don't think so. I've been living here for a while, and I've been beginning to question it myself.
I mean, who really knows?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how accurate is Letterkenny?
Is what?
Letterkenny, you know the show Letterkenny?
Oh, where I am 100%.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just, I hate that they're changing these characters. Like, as you mentioned before the stream, Koyos, like, if this was like an alternate version of the character, like a Superman Red Sun, it would be a different
story. It's like
it would be a different story, or like Superman Red Sun. It's essentially it's an Elseworld story, which is DC's version of Marvel's What If, which is essentially what if Superman's rocket landed in Soviet Russia instead of America. Which I thought it was a really cool idea. The comic was really good. The animated movie, not so good. Animation was great, but the writing wasn't. And some of the dialogue wasn't great. Not the dialogue, but the accent. Like the Russian accents weren't great, especially for Superman. It was just inconsistent. But the original comic, the graphic novel's really, really good. Like, I've only read it once, but I remember I remember everything about it. How even, spoiler for the end, but that Lex, Superman's not actually an alien in that story, but he's actually human, like an Earthling from the future. So he's actually a descendant of Lex Luthor, because in that future, Earth somehow survived our sun becoming a red giant, which you'd think would just obliterate Earth, given that it's bending to a red giant, but comic book logic, whatever. Yeah, so it's essentially like Earth is essentially Krypton in that story, and what was it? Jor-El was literally the letter L, like Luthor. So and they send the rocket and it goes back in time and lands in Soviet Russia, and that's kind of like a cycle, like a time loop type, Terminator type time loop.
It just seems really out of place.
But my point was, it was a good story. It was a good Elseworld story, whereas this is essentially you're making the character of Captain America anti-American. That is just absurd and asinine.
Like if you're trying to say this is the main continuity Captain America, it's just as bad as when they try to be like, hey, Captain America is actually a Hydra agent. No, this really is Captain America, and it's just like,
yeah, where he's a Nazi now because that's yay.
Well, and I also will note, I think it's kind of telling what kinds of stories comic book writers are writing, to where, hey, Captain America's a Nazi. Hey, Captain America doesn't believe in the American dream anymore. It's like, I think it's more telling of what kind of views and attitudes
it's totally telling
of America versus
rather
like,
than
hey,
what the character would be.
Yeah, exactly. And as we've seen with politics infesting everything, that's then the best assumption is that, hey, this is the actual views of the writers. So make of that what you will, but it doesn't really paint a good picture to me.
No, it doesn't.
And like I said,
paints,
I don't know.
It paints a picture.
I don't think it's unreasonable to say like, oh, I want to write this story as a comic. Write what you will, but do it not through a character.
If you want to write a comic book story of something, sure. At the same point,
just use a different character rather than something
when
that's
you're
been
using a pre-established character.
Established, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's
character is an established character that is.
Yeah, like, look, you want to tell a story. You want to tell a story about
the symbol for America. Right?
Yeah, like you want to tell a story about how you have problems with you have your own personal problems with America. You want to express them through a comic book story. It is doable. Just don't use literally the comic book superhero embodiment of America to do it.
Yeah, it's like you can. Oh, and that's why it's funny when you see comic book writers writing about it's like you take a character and they go and they blackwash them or gender bend them and stuff like that, and it's like, okay, look, if you're writing about, hey, here's a totally the entire character is different but very similar powers, so like a Miles Morales kind of thing, okay, you need to make sure you're doing it well, but sure, it can work. As with all things, I think almost any story can work as long as you write it well. But the problem is they're very clearly they're
creatively
just
inept.
Want to go and be, hey, look, it's look at this character, it's Iron Man, but a girl, and it's like, maybe in the writer's mind, that's great, that's earth-shattering, groundbreaking, that someone could do this stuff as a girl, but it's like for everyone else, we're like, okay, and like what else is there about the character? No, that's it. The entire character is that they are female, or the entire character.
It's not just that. It was that they were smarter than Tony Stark. It was a 15-year-old black girl that's smarter than Tony Stark, and I'm not saying a woman can't be smarter. Of course they can be smarter. It's just that you're saying a 15-year-old is going to be smarter than at this point in time, going on 30, or late 20s, early 30-year-old who has decades of experience, like a decade or two of experience of being the hero and building these suits and all that. You're saying he's going to be dumber than this chick,
and then show them learning, because again, a lot of stuff with
which is what they did with the Spider-Verse movie. Which is what they did with the Spider-Verse movie, where Miles was kind of like, okay, I have no idea what I'm doing, and he's learning the ropes through the various Spider-Men that he encounters in the movie.
And it's like, if you want to be, if you want to do something like that, sure. And again, when you write a character well, you can write pretty much, if you're like, hey, I want this detail, I want this detail, I want this detail, sure. You can write a story that connects all of those. That is a good story, but you have to know how the fuck to write. If you just throw a character out there and go, well, it's, for instance, if you were to be like, hey, look, it's Batman but a woman, again, people are going to go, okay, but if all that's interesting or unique about your character is that they're a woman, that's a shit character.
It's not a character though; it's a caricature. Also, I want to say hi to Mirsphere's Origins in the chat, saying, "Hail, man!" And you see the art thing in Discord. I did, and I replied. And then Dave Lee Murphy just popped into the chat saying, "Batgirl, the DCEU, and Reeves' Batman movies are all garbage." Reeves' Batman movie?
Not sure.
And Bone says, "Hey." But funny that he mentions Batgirl because it actually moves us to our next topic, which is the Batgirl movie that's been in the works for it's been in development hell for going on, I want to say 3-4 years, maybe more. Matt Reeves. Okay.
Or that woman or something else.
Batgirl, like Barbara
Okay.
Gordon, Babs, Oracle,
Okay.
Batgirl. Daily says Matt Reeves the Batman, the new movie coming out. Oh, he's saying that
There's
it's going to be
Batman
garbage.
movie coming out?
The new Batman movie with the guy from whatchamface Twilight movies. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that exists. I had no idea what Davey Murphy in the chat was talking about either until he said Matt Reeves is the Batman. Like, oh right, that's a thing. So yes, so Batgirl, they finally found an actress to play Batgirl. They cast Leslie Grace as Batgirl, so a lot of people have been blowing up that this is another race swap of a redhead, which, I mean, it is. This would make 11 DC characters that have been race swapped.
Well, because, hey, remember, if they're redheads, they aren't actually people, right?
They don't have any souls, so why does it matter, right?
Like, for fuck's sake. I honestly feel like with Hollywood, I feel like at times they're all just colossally fucking stupid in that they don't actually hear the things they say or see the things they publish out. And like think about what you're doing here, because according to what these actors, actresses, directors, all these enlightened people, hey, race swapping's bad. Well, unless we do it, then it's okay. But if anyone else says it's bad, not buying it.
And Daily Murphy in the chat that's right. He's saying that they race swapped Gordon in the Batman movie. Gordon is also he's black in the new movie. Commissioner Gordon, Commish. Which is why I can if they're at least they're not doing a fan four stick thing where they're having essentially a father and daughter being in Fan Four Stick they had Johnny Storm and Sue Storm being black and white respectively, which makes no sense because they're siblings. Whereas at least here it's okay, it's not like they're trying to make Barbara. I can at least acknowledge and applaud that they're keeping consistency.
Yeah.
If Gordon's black, Babs is going to be black too.
They might. I doubt it, but they might be able to pull a Nick Fury, and actually, because
that's what I'm hoping for.
Really liked Samuel L. Jackson's performance as Nick
Fury.
So
a little history on that was Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury was based on the Ultimate Comics, which a lot of the Marvel movies are based on. And in Ultimate Comics, which, by the way, the reason Ultimate Comics exists was because they wanted to reboot the Marvel characters in the universe for a new generation of readers in the 2000s without destroying the continuity and getting rid of and rebooting the characters that already existed in the mainstream continuity. And then so they created Ultimate Spider-Man, Ultimate X-Men, Ultimate Fantastic Four, and that's how Marvel Ultimate Comics was created. And in that universe, they based Nick Fury off of Sam L's appearance in Shaft, which came out literally a year ago, less than a year prior to the comic coming out. Shaft was 1999 or 2000. So they literally based Nick Fury off of Sam L from Shaft, which is why he looked almost identical, just maybe with a scar here or there. And then they based the movie version off of the comic book. So it's naturally, hey, we can get Sam L. We can literally recreate the comic book version of Nick Fury here.